Hey, I'm Simon.
I'm Ellie.
And we are here in Bennington, Vermont. If you are a fan of the Netflix show The Haunting of Hill House, you may find this quite interesting.
We're not like any other family. We're different because of where we grew up. Hill House.
What we're going to do is check out the inspiration for the book that inspired the show. We're also going to check out a spooky cave because why not? Who doesn't love spooky caves?
So for now, let's take a closer look at Jennings Hall.
Windows inexplicably opening, footsteps echoing in empty hallways, and instruments playing themselves. Welcome to Jennings Music Building on the Bennington College campus. If you're not familiar with the awesome Netflix show The Haunting of Hill House, it focuses on a group of siblings who grew up in the infamous Hill House and experience some ghostly goings-on as they reunite later in life. The show was loosely based on a novel of the same name written by Shirley Jackson in 1959. Shirley Jackson's husband, Stanley Edgar Hyman, was a professor at Bennington College, and the couple lived in the area. This is Jennings Music Building, and we're sure it's not coincidence that the haunted house in Shirley's novel bears a striking resemblance to this real-life haunted mansion.
Sure, so it probably doesn't look that spooky on a gorgeous autumn day with the sun shining, but I can absolutely imagine what it must be like as a music student here studying alone in the middle of the night, hearing creepy footsteps, feeling the weird cold spaces. So let's take a look around, let's take a bit more of a look at this building and hear some of the spookier stories that the students have told.
Students tell us that Jennings isn't necessarily tortured by a specific ghost. It's more things people can't explain. Things like creaking floors when nobody is there, random closing doors, and locked windows that fling open even when there's no breeze. One student said that the lights go out when there's no power outage, and there are always random cold patches.
I go to Jennings to practice music late at night when the building's empty and I hear footsteps that I guess could be a person, except I'm pretty sure there's nobody else in the building. It's really beautiful, but it definitely has this weird undercurrent when you walk in. The interior is dark wood with all these super ornate engravings, and you can feel the history, but there's something off. It feels dark. And that's contradicted by the beautiful music being played in the building. It's a weird dichotomy that leaves you not knowing how to process where you are.
Head music librarian Susan Rice calls the building austere and the perfect place to play hide and seek, but it's best not to get too lost because, as she says,
the basement is very creepy. That's the one place I'm scared to go to, even during the day. It's a long, dark corridor. It has safety lights, but there's a feeling of darkness. There's all these little caged spaces and locked doors where faculty used to store items.
Once, when a professor fell asleep in the lobby overnight, he awoke to loud banging sounds that started at one end of the building and moved to the other end.
So even though it is a very nice, warm, bright, sunny day today, it is still pretty eerie walking around the grounds of this house. You've got some odd remnants lying around in the garden. There's an old pool or pond maybe. And I'm thinking maybe we should push the boundaries a little bit, maybe go peer in some windows.
Are you on board with Jennings Music Building being the inspiration for Hill House yet? If not, listen to the first paragraph from the book.
Hill House, not sane, stood by itself against its hills, holding darkness within. It had stood so for 80 years, and might stand for 80 more. Within, walls continued upright. Bricks met neatly, floors were firm, and doors were sensibly shut. Silence lay steadily against the wood and stone of Hill House, and whatever walked there walked alone.
There's even a pair of stone lion heads in the fireplace at Jennings that match a description in Jackson's book.
She passed a vast house, pillared and walled, with shutters over the windows and a pair of stone lions guarding the steps, and she thought that perhaps she might live there, dusting the lions each morning and patting their heads good night.
Even in broad daylight, there's something unsettling about Jennings' house, perched on a looming hill with so much light and yet still so many dark places. Whether it's haunted or not, we can understand how it could inspire a classic horror story.
It's that house.
We made a second spooky stop at nearby Everett Cave that required a short but strenuous uphill hike. The cave itself was rather difficult to find, but when we did find it, it was impossible to mistake the crack in the rock through which we would need to enter.
So we've just done a pretty strenuous climb up to Everett's Cave, and hence me being gross and really sweaty, but the payoff is worth it because we finally found something super spooky. So let's go check out this awesome spooky cave.
The temperature drops immediately that you enter the cave, replacing the humid, warm air with a chill that soon seeps into your bones. Water drips from the ceiling and walls, bugs scurry away from your flashlight beam, and a mist hovers in the air.
Entering the cave involves crawling under a low rock ledge, but the reward is a large hall 20 feet or more high in some places. Numerous tunnels feed into and out of this large hall, and anything could have been lurking there in the darkness.
There have even been Sasquatch sightings in this area, but whether you believe in Bigfoot or bears, it was enough to make me feel extremely unsettled. We hope you enjoyed our spooky sightseeing trip to Vermont, and if so, please like, leave a comment, and hit subscribe.